You're not here by accident. This is divine timing. You didn't stumble upon this message. You didn't click it by mistake. You weren't scrolling mindlessly just to end up here for no reason. Something deeper is at work, a quiet force, call it God, the universe, divine timing, whatever speaks to your soul has led you here. And that matters, because the truth is, your life is on the edge of a turning point. You may not see it yet. You may feel tired, uncertain, maybe even a little lost. You've been pushing, praying, grinding, and still wondering if anyone up there is listening. You've questioned your purpose. You've stared at the ceiling at 2 a.m., heart racing, wondering if any of this is going to make sense. But listen closely. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your breakthrough. You're not behind. You're not late. You're exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel like it. Too many people go through life thinking they missed the train. That if they had just made one different choice 5 years ago, everything would be better. But I'm here to tell you, the real story is just starting, and this time, it's being written by the version of you that knows pain, knows struggle, knows survival, and is still standing. That strength, it wasn't built in your comfort zone. It was forged in the fire of disappointments, dead ends, and those moments when you almost gave up. And that's what makes this moment so important. Because now, the world is about to see who you've become. This is your divine timing, the season where things start clicking. Not because life got easier, but because you got wiser, stronger, more rooted in who you are and what you're here to do. You've been through the wilderness, and now, you're being called into the promised land, not someday, now. But here's the twist. Divine timing doesn't always look magical on the surface. Sometimes it looks like everything falling apart. Sometimes it looks like losing a job, walking away from a relationship, or hitting a wall that you never saw coming. That's the part no one talks about. See, divine timing often disguises itself as chaos, as failure, as loss. But beneath the noise, something sacred is happening. The closing of one chapter is making space for the one you were always meant to live. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the biggest shifts in your life didn't come when things were easy, but when you were being stretched? When you were uncomfortable, and sure, even scared. That's not a coincidence. That's divine timing in action, because discomfort is a sign that something bigger is trying to be born through you. You're not the same person you were a year ago, or even 6 months ago. Life has changed you. And not in a bad way. You've grown. You've started seeing through the surface level nonsense. You've begun to listen to your gut. You've gotten quieter, sharper, more focused. That's not regression. That's alignment. And now doors are about to open, the kind that don't open for just anyone. The kind that only open for people who've been through something and kept their faith anyway. You're going to start noticing little things shifting, people returning, opportunities coming out of nowhere, random conversations that lead to something big. It's going to feel like things are just working, but it's not random. It's divine timing doing what it does best, showing up right when it's supposed to. You didn't miss your moment, it's arriving now. It might not look exactly how you pictured it, but trust me, it's better than what you were settling for. You were never meant for average. That's why the average life never fit you. That's why the jobs, the circles, the expectations of others never felt like home. Because they weren't. They were a training ground for something greater. So if you're still doubting whether this is your season, let me remind you, God doesn't make mistakes. If you're still breathing, there's still a calling on your life. If your heart is still beating, you're not done yet. There's more ahead than behind. And you're not running out of time. Time is finally catching up to you. Don't look at the clock. Look at the mirror. Look at how far you've come. Look at the fire you walked through. Look at the battles you didn't think you'd survive. And yet, you did. Not only that, you learned from them. You became someone who walks with quiet confidence. Someone who's no longer begging for seats at tables you've outgrown. Someone who knows their worth without needing everyone to clap for it. This isn't about ego, this is about purpose. You were created with a calling not just to survive, but to rise. To lead, to love, to build, to teach, to shake the room with your presence, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. You're human, you got the scars to prove it. And still, you're here, that's power. So as you step into this new season, I want you to remember one thing, you're not here by accident. You were chosen for such a time as this. Everything you've gone through, every delay, every detour, every disappointment has been shaping you, refining you, aligning you. You're not lost. You're being led, you're not stuck. You're being prepared, and you're not broken. You're being rebuilt stronger, deeper, more intentional. So walk into this season with boldness. Speak with authority. Move like you know who you are and what you carry. Because your time is not coming, it's already here. Divine timing doesn't rush, and it doesn't miss, and right now, it's calling your name. You're about to rise from the shadows. You spent years playing it small, not because you weren't capable, but because life conditioned you to believe you had to dim your light to make others comfortable. You got used to shrinking. You made yourself quieter in rooms where you should have been leading. You downplayed your brilliance so people wouldn't feel threatened. You settled, not because you didn't have dreams, but because you were tired of being told they were too much. But that version of you, it's falling away now. Because the shadows you've lived in, the ones built from rejection, betrayal, silence, and fear are no longer your home. You're being pulled into the light, and this time, you're not asking permission to rise. You're just rising. You see, people got used to the version of you that stayed quiet. The one that said yes when you wanted to say no. The one that worked behind the scenes while others took the credit. The one that gave your all and barely got anything in return. But now, those days are behind you, not because you're bitter, but because you've outgrown that chapter. It's time to step out of the background and into your rightful place. No more blending in. No more apologizing for your strength, your voice, or your vision. You're not just emerging, you're evolving. You're becoming the person you were always meant to be before life tried to silence you. And when you rise this time, it'll be different. You're not rising to prove anything to anyone. You're rising because you finally understand who you are. There's a quiet confidence growing in you, the kind that doesn't need validation. It doesn't seek approval. It doesn't beg to be understood. It simply walks in purpose, knowing that what's for you won't miss you. And yes, your rise will be uncomfortable for some people. The same ones who were fine when you stayed small might get real quiet when you start shining. Let them. This isn't about them. This is about reclaiming everything you buried just to survive. The dreams, the talents, the parts of you that were pushed down to please others. The version of you that wanted more, believed in more, hoped for more. It's time for that person to take center stage. You've been through too much to keep hiding. You've fought silent battles that no one saw. You've cried in secret, smiled in public, and carried weights that would have crushed someone else. And through all of it, you kept going. That makes you powerful. That makes you ready. You don't need anyone's permission to rise. God already gave you the green light. The only thing left is for you to walk in it. No more waiting for signs. This is the sign. Let the world adjust to the new you. Let them watch you bloom in spaces where you once withered. Let them see you stand tall in rooms where you were once invisible. Let them wonder how you did it. And when they ask, tell them the truth. You stopped hiding. You stopped pretending to be less than you are. You stopped watering yourself down. You stopped living according to other people's timelines. And most importantly, you stopped doubting what you were born to do. This moment isn't about ego or revenge. It's about purpose. It's about finally aligning your outside life with who you've become on the inside. It's about walking into the light, not afraid of being seen, but ready to be known. Because here's the truth. You were never meant to live in the shadows. You were meant to lead, to love, to heal, to disrupt, to inspire, to show others what's possible when you stop shrinking and start standing tall. Your rising doesn't make others smaller. It gives them permission to rise too. So don't hold back now. The stage is yours. The light is on. The world is watching. It's your time. And this time, you won't fade. You'll shine. What was once out of reach is coming to you. You ever feel like no matter how hard you try, things just keep slipping through your fingers? Like you're reaching for something, a dream, a breakthrough, a moment of peace, and just as you get close, it vanishes. It's like running toward the horizon. You can see it, you know it's there, but it never seems to let you touch it. But I need you to hear this loud and clear. That season is ending. You're not chasing shadows anymore. What once felt impossible is on its way to becoming your reality. And it's not because you're working harder, you've already done that. It's because something deeper is shifting. Heaven is aligning with earth on your behalf. For too long, you believed you had to earn everything. You believed blessings came with conditions. You thought if you just did enough, prayed enough, sacrificed enough, maybe, just maybe, the door would open. But what if I told you it's not about striving anymore? What if I told you the next chapter of your life will be unlocked not by your effort, but by your alignment, see, in the spiritual realm? Timing is everything. The reason things didn't happen before wasn't because you were unworthy. It was because you were being prepared. God was pruning your heart, refining your character, and testing your foundation. He wasn't punishing you. He was positioning you. Because what's coming now, you needed to be strong enough to carry it. The love, the opportunities, the calling, the peace, they were never denied, just delayed. And now, as the spiritual fog lifts, you'll begin to feel it, an opening. Doors unlocking that you didn't even knock on. Paths clearing without explanation. Conversations that feel divinely timed. It'll feel almost surreal. But it's not luck, it's not coincidence. It's divine orchestration. There are things with your name on them, blessings tailor-made for your soul, and they are moving toward you right now. Slowly, then all at once, but here's the part most people miss. When blessings come, they often don't look like blessings at first. They come disguised as endings, as interruptions, as a loss you didn't see coming, that relationship that fell apart, that job you didn't get, that friend who walked away. Those moments didn't break you, they broke open the space for what's truly meant for you, spiritually speaking. You've been in a season of detox. God has been removing what can't go with you. What once comforted you, what once defined you, He stripped it away. And it hurt, but it made room for alignment. And now, as you step into this next season, you'll notice something powerful. The things you used to beg for start finding their way to you effortlessly, because favor doesn't chase, it attracts. And when you're spiritually aligned, what's meant for you is magnetized toward you. You won't need to over-explain. You won't need to hustle to prove yourself. The right people, the right opportunities, the right timing, they'll recognize your energy before you even speak. But here's your part, stay open. Don't sabotage the blessing just because it doesn't look the way you expected. Don't walk away from the miracle because it's wrapped in discomfort. Remember, faith doesn't wait for clarity, it walks anyway. You've already passed the test, you've already survived the wilderness. This next chapter isn't about proving yourself, it's about receiving. And let me be clear, receiving isn't passive. It's spiritual work. It takes humility to believe you're worthy. It takes courage to open your hands after years of holding on too tight. It takes trust, deep, soul-level trust, to say, God, I don't see the whole picture, but I'm ready for what you've prepared. That's where you are right now, ready to receive. Ready to walk in fullness, ready to hold what once felt far away. So don't flinch when it comes. Don't second-guess the blessing. Don't delay the joy because you're afraid it won't last. It's yours. It was always yours. You just had to grow into the version of yourself that could handle it. This is the moment where faith becomes sight. What was once out of reach is now within arm's length. Stretch again, this time, not from desperation, but from expectation. Because what's yours is not slipping away this time. It's here. People who doubted you will witness your rise. Now that you've started to believe it's coming, that what once felt out of reach is finally in your hands. There's something else you need to prepare for. The audience, see, you didn't just go through all that growth in private for no reason. The rising you're stepping into, it's going to be seen, and not just by strangers. No, the most powerful part. It's going to be seen by the ones who doubted you the most. Let that sink in. The people who overlooked you, the ones who told you to be realistic, who rolled their eyes when you shared your vision, who kept your name out of the room when they had the chance to speak it. They're about to watch you walk through the very doors they said were closed to you. And listen, this isn't about revenge. It's not about throwing success in anyone's face. That's not your spirit. That's not your path. But what's happening now, it's spiritual vindication. It's heaven's way of saying, I saw it all, and now I'm putting you where you belong. This moment, your rise, is not just a reward, it's a message. A message to everyone who tried to define you by your past, by your struggle, by your silent seasons. A message to those who assumed you'd never bounce back. A message to the systems, the environments, the inner voices that tried to keep you small. You are not who they thought you were. You're so much more. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need to say a word. You don't need to argue, explain, or correct their narratives. Your elevation will speak for itself. Your fruit will speak louder than their opinions ever could. That's how divine elevation works. It's quiet, but it's undeniable. God doesn't need a mic drop to make a statement. Sometimes he just raises you publicly in front of the very people who dismissed your process privately, not to humiliate them, but to heal something in you, because let's be honest, you've been carrying their words. Their doubts sat in the back of your mind every time you hesitated. Their judgment played in your head every time you questioned your worth. And now, you're being released from that. They don't get to hold power over your story anymore, and the irony, many of them didn't mean to hurt you. They were just projecting their own limitations. They couldn't see the vision because it wasn't given to them, it was given to you. They couldn't understand your calling because they weren't built to carry it. But now that it's happening, now that your life is visibly shifting, even they won't be able to deny what's unfolding. They'll look at you and realize they were wrong to count you out, wrong to label you too early, wrong to assume God was done with you. But your response won't be pride, it'll be peace. The kind of peace that says, I don't need you to understand me anymore. I understand myself now, and in that peace, you rise. There's a verse that says, He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. That doesn't mean you're throwing shade. It means that while others doubted, God was preparing. While they underestimated, God was elevating. And now that the table is ready, you're being seated. So eat with gratitude. Walk into this next level not needing to prove anything, but simply being who you were created to be. Let your glow be your reply. Let your joy be your answer. Let your consistency, your peace, your unshakable faith be the proof that the one who started a good work in you is finishing it. And yes, they will see, not because you need them to, but because it's part of your story. Because your rise is going to change how they see themselves too. You see, when one person who was counted out rises, it shakes something in everyone else watching. It reminds them that it's not too late for them either. That maybe their past doesn't define them. That maybe, just maybe, if you could rise from the ashes, they can too. So don't be surprised when some of the same people who doubted you come back to ask how you did it. Don't be shocked when they start respecting your name, your presence, your voice. And when they do, smile, bless them. Share your story if you're led to, but either way, keep rising. Because you were never meant to stay hidden. And now, as you step into this light, remember, it's not just your breakthrough, it's your witness. Every step forward, every level up, every silent I told you so carried in grace, it all points back to the divine hand that never let go of you. This is your time, and yes, they're watching. Rejection was redirection, so yes, they're watching you now. But before you get too caught up in that moment, in the applause, the acknowledgement, The quiet respect starting to form in their eyes. Let's rewind. Not for drama, for understanding, because before they watched you rise, they watched you fall, or rather, they let you fall. And that's the part no one claps for. See, before this victory, there were seasons where all you got was silence. Not support, not encouragement, not even honesty, just silence. You reached out and no one reached back. You opened your heart, and it got stepped on. You gave your best, and still somehow got left behind. But what if I told you that those closed doors were never rejection? They were protection. What if every no, every ghosting, every moment you were counted out was God rerouting you? Not away from love, not away from success, but away from people and places that weren't built to carry your calling. Because here's the truth most never realize until it's too late. Not everyone can go where you're going. And when you're chosen, when you're truly anointed for something higher, God doesn't just bless you, He filters your environment. That means He'll remove what looks good but isn't rooted. He'll shake loose the friendships that feel familiar but feed your fear. He'll let people walk away, even the ones you wanted to keep, because your purpose demands clarity, not chaos. At the time, it felt like rejection, like being forgotten, like being left out of the party you helped plan. But now, looking back, you can start to see it for what it really was, alignment. Because if you had stayed in those rooms, stayed in those relationships, stayed in those limited versions of yourself just to be accepted, you would have missed the exact moment God had set aside for your becoming. Let's be honest, if they had accepted you, you might have settled. You might have thought, well, this is enough, at least I'm not alone. But God said, that's not enough, not for you. You weren't built to fit, you were built to lead. And leaders don't blend in, they stand out. That's why you were pulled away from certain circles, why the job didn't work, why the relationship crumbled, why the support dried up. Not because you failed, but because you were meant to fly, and they would have kept you crawling. Rejection wasn't the enemy. Rejection was the GPS rerouting you to your destiny. And now, as you rise, as you start to walk in everything they said you weren't ready for, you're going to feel something strange. Not anger, not even pride, just clarity that says, I get it now. They had to leave so I could find my voice. They had to stop showing up so I could show up for myself. They had to say no so I could finally say yes to who I truly am. So don't carry bitterness, carry wisdom. Don't waste time resenting the people who walked away. Thank God they did, because if they hadn't, you wouldn't be here. And here is holy ground. Here is the beginning of your real story. The one where rejection was the doorway, and redirection was the plan all along. Forgiveness will unlock your next chapter. You've made it through the rejection. You've survived the silence. You've risen, even after the fall. But now comes the real test. Can you let it go, not just the memory, not just the person? I mean the weight, the part of you that still tenses up when their name comes up. The energy you spend replaying what they did, what they said, how they should have acted. That's the part God is asking you to release now. Because this next chapter requires lighter luggage. You don't need to forgive them because they deserve it. You need to forgive them because you deserve peace. Let's be honest, forgiveness is messy. It's not instant, it's not always pretty. And sometimes it's not about moving on, it's about moving forward, even with the scars. But make no mistake, forgiveness is a key ... and right now, that key is in your hand. You can choose to unlock your future, or stay locked in your past. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Holding on to resentment doesn't protect you, it poisons you. Bitterness doesn't keep you strong, it keeps you stuck. You think you're carrying it as a shield, but really, it's a chain. And it's time to drop it. That doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean what they did was okay ... It means you're done letting it define you. Because every time you let that pain replay, you're giving them real estate in your mind, in your emotions, in your energy, and you've come too far to keep paying rent to the past. Forgiveness doesn't excuse their behavior, it elevates your freedom. It says, you no longer have the power to control how I feel, how I walk, or where I'm going. It says, I'm not holding you anymore because I'm finally holding myself. It says, I bless you and I release you, and here's what's wild. The moment you release them, you'll feel something shift. Like the air gets lighter, like your soul sits taller, like your spirit finally exhales, because forgiveness is spiritual surgery. It cuts away what no longer serves you, so the real you can breathe again. You can't carry divine purpose with human grudges. You can't walk in blessing with baggage from betrayal. God wants to give you the next level, but He won't pour new wine into old wounds. So this isn't just about healing what they did, it's about honoring who you're becoming. You're no longer that version of you who was crushed by what they did. You're wiser, you're deeper. You've got the kind of strength forged in fire. And from this new place, this healed place, you can see clearly, they were never the point. The lesson was, the becoming was, so let go. Not just for them, for you. Because your hands need to be free to receive what's coming next, and what's coming. It's big, it's beautiful, it's blessed, but you can't reach for it if your fists are still clenched in pain. So open up, not to them, to you, to God. To the future that's been waiting on the other side of forgiveness. This is your release. This is your breakthrough. This is your freedom. Your voice is about to be heard. Something sacred happens after forgiveness. When you finally lay the past down, when you unclench your fists, loosen your jaw, and stop rehearsing old wounds, you suddenly realize you've been quiet for too long. Not just externally, not just in conversations, meetings, or relationships, but deep within. Your spirit has been holding its breath. You've been silencing your truth, stuffing down your ideas, your wisdom, your fire, just to survive. Just to keep the peace, just to not rock the boat. But peace built on suppression, that's not peace. That's bondage wearing a smile, and now, after all the inner work, all the healing, all the surrender, something in you is stirring. It's your voice, and it's done being quiet. This is the season where your voice will no longer be ignored. Not by others, not by you, not by the world. The same voice that was silenced by shame, dismissed by others, and doubted by even yourself is about to become your greatest tool. Because your voice doesn't just carry sound, it carries authority. It carries experience, it carries anointing. It carries truth forged through trials. You didn't walk through hell and come out silent. You came out with a testimony. And here's the thing, people need what you carry. They need to hear what you've seen. They need to feel the wisdom behind your words, not because it's polished, but because it's real. You don't have to speak loud to speak powerfully. You don't have to be perfect to be impactful. When you speak from a healed place, healing happens. When you speak from truth, chains break. When you speak from spirit, atmospheres shift. You're going to find yourself in rooms where your voice changes everything, not because you're trying to impress, but because you're finally being authentic. No filter, no shrinking, no second guessing. You're stepping into the kind of clarity that doesn't whisper, it declares. And for those who once talked over you, overlooked you, underestimated you this time, they'll have no choice but to listen, not because you're louder, but because you're aligned. Heaven is backing your words now. Your voice isn't just yours. It's been refined by fire, anointed by calling, and filled with the breath of someone who knows who they are. So speak life, speak truth. Speak healing, speak boldly. Even when your voice shakes, especially when it shakes. You're not just talking, you're reclaiming territory. Because every time you speak up, you're undoing years of silence. You're breaking generational patterns. You're taking back the narrative. And you don't need a stage, a mic, or a million followers. Sometimes the most powerful voice is the one that finally says, no more, or this is who I am now. Or simply, I deserve to be heard, and you do, you always did. You just needed time to believe it again, Well, now is the time. This is your season to speak. And the world is finally ready to hear you. Divine relationships are on the way. Now that your voice is no longer hiding, something beautiful starts to happen. The right people begin to hear it, not just hear you, but feel you, your truth, your depth, your soul. And maybe for the first time in a long time, you don't feel alone anymore. Because let's be honest, you've known isolation. You've known the ache of outgrowing people who once felt like home. You sat at tables where no one really saw you. You've poured into connections that never poured back. And after a while, you started to wonder, is there anyone out there who actually gets me? Yes, and they're coming, you see. Just like you've been growing in silence, healing in private, learning to love yourself again. They're not perfect. But they're aligned, and just like you, they've been waiting for something real. Because this next season of your life, it can't be done in isolation. You weren't created to carry this alone. Purpose is heavy, and divine partnerships are heaven's way of making it light again. You're about to be connected with people who see you without performance. People who feel safe, who love you in truth, who pray for you in secret, people who call out your purpose, not your pain. People who don't compete, they collaborate. Friendships that don't drain you, relationships that don't confuse you, connections that feel like oxygen. And no, this won't look like the old days. These aren't trauma bonds. This isn't we both hurt so we cling to each other. This is we both healed. So we're ready. You're about to meet people who match your growth, who match your peace, who match your energy, not just on a surface level, but spiritually. And when they show up, it'll feel natural, easy, divine. You won't have to chase, convince, or explain yourself over and over. They'll just know, and you'll know too. Because your soul will remember them. And here's the wildest part. Some of these people were already in your life, but you couldn't recognize them before. Because you weren't ready to receive love that healthy. You were still making room for the bare minimum. Still entertaining confusion because it felt familiar. Still trying to fix what was never yours to fix. But now you've changed, you've healed, you've raised your standard and your energy. And heaven is responding. Your healed energy is becoming a magnet. Not just for love, but for divine alignment, for friendships, partnerships, even family restoration that feels anointed, not forced. So don't be surprised when certain people fade. It's making space. And don't be afraid when new faces show up. That's the answer to your prayers. This isn't about popularity. It's about partnership with purpose. Because you're not just here to rise for yourself. You're here to build something that lasts. And heaven never calls builders without also sending the right hands to help. So get ready. Your circle is shifting. Your heart is opening, and the right ones. They're already on the way. This breakthrough isn't just for you. Let's be clear about something. This rise you're stepping into, this breakthrough that's unfolding, it's not just for you. Yes, it's personal. Yes, it's sacred. But no, it's not only about your success, your glow up, your name finally being honored. It's bigger than that. Because what God is doing in you, it's meant to move through you. This isn't just about you making it out, it's about who's watching you while you do. Whether you realize it or not, someone out there is quietly observing your journey. They've seen your breakdowns, your silent seasons, your barely holding it together days. They've watched you lose people, lose hope, lose parts of yourself, but now they're watching something else. Your resilience, your return, your rise. And here's the thing they might never tell you. You may never get the DM, the call, the thank you, but your life is preaching hope to people who don't even know how to pray anymore. You are proof that survival is possible, that healing is real, that God is still in the business of making beauty from ashes. You didn't just survive for survival's sake. You're the blueprint. You're the one in your family, in your circle, in your generation, breaking what should have broken you. You're breaking cycles, breaking patterns, breaking generational silence, and through your story, others are finding the courage to believe again. That's why your breakthrough had to be harder. That's why your healing took longer. That's why your process felt lonelier. Because you weren't just healing your life, you were healing your bloodline. You're the one who turned inward instead of lashing out. The one who went to therapy instead of numbing. The one who prayed when no one else believed. The one who didn't pass the pain forward, but stopped it right there. You became the firewall, and that's no small thing. So when you walk into these new blessings, into these next levels, walk with purpose. Know that your victory is creating a ripple effect. That your light is guiding someone else out of the dark. This isn't about building a platform, it's about building people. You're not famous, you're favored. And that favor comes with impact. You're going to walk into rooms that need your presence, not for who you know, but for what you carry. Your wisdom, your energy, your authenticity. That's your gift to the world. And trust me, the world needs it, so don't downplay what's happening in your life right now. Don't hide your progress because others aren't there yet. Don't apologize for the favor on your name. Shine, because when you shine, you give others permission to do the same. Your breakthrough is not just about you rising, it's about who rises with you. Step boldly, this is your moment. After everything, the silence, the pruning, the heartbreak, the healing, the release, the rise, you're here, and I need you to hear this. This is not a coincidence, this is not hype, this is your moment. Not a maybe, not a someday. Not a we'll see now. You've waited long enough, you've grown enough, you've healed enough to finally stop surviving and start thriving. But now, the ball's in your court. Will you step? Will you move forward, even if the path still feels unfamiliar? Will you trust the voice inside, the one that's grown stronger with every closed door, every tear, every silent prayer? Because the truth is, God has already gone ahead of you. He's paved the way. He's aligned the timing. He's prepared the space. The only thing left is your yes. Say yes to the new. Say yes to being seen. Say yes to walking with confidence, even if your knees shake. You don't need all the answers to start. You don't need a perfect plan to move. All you need is the courage to believe that the breakthrough wasn't just a moment. It was a commission, a divine assignment to walk in what you were born to carry. Don't look back. Don't water yourself down to fit old versions of you. Don't apologize for how far you've come. This is your time. This is your space. This is your moment. So take the step boldly, bravely now. If you've made it this far, you're not just a listener. You're part of this journey. And something in your spirit already knows. You are meant for more, so let this be your confirmation. Let this be your call to rise, not tomorrow. Not next year, right now. Because everything you've walked through has led to this moment, not for applause, not for ego, but for purpose. Your voice matters, your story matters, you matter. And if something in this message spoke to you, if you felt seen, understood, maybe even a little shaken, don't just let it pass. Take a moment right now. Leave a comment below, share what part hit you the hardest. I read every single one. Hit that like button, not for me, but to help this message reach someone else who desperately needs it. Subscribe to this channel, because this isn't a one-time message. It's a journey, and I want you with me for what's coming next. The breakthrough already started. Now, we walk it out, together. Let's go.